Okay, welcome back everybody. So today we're going to work on project number 8, which is going to be fabricating a 1-inch flat S-cleat. Most of the time this is purchased, but I'm going to demonstrate just in case you're out in the field at some point in time and you got a little metal, you could make one up and maybe not have to drive back to the shop or to the supply house to get one. Okay, so when we get started here, we're going to make this particular S-cleat to fit a 10-inch duct. So we're going to make that 9 3/4 is what our cut length is, a 1/4 inch short, so it fits between the connectors and the slips and drives and everything, and nothing gets in the road. The project asks you to make 6 of them by hand to basically improve on your technique and everything. 1-inch S-cleat, 9 3/4 long, and we're going to use those in the project as we get this all together as we go. It does say all flat S-cleats should be that 1/4 inch shorter than the width of the duct, and it also refers to the angle S-cleat, which is coming up in the next project. It says angle S-cleats are usually used on ducts that are wider than 20 inches or 20 inches themselves. So let's go ahead and look at the next page in the plan on this project. In order to fabricate this piece, we said we're going to cut it at 9 3/4 by 3 3/4 in width in order to fabricate the 1-inch S-cleat. So I've already done the basic cutting, 9 3/4 in length by 3 3/4 in width all the way down. It should be square. When I look at this plan, it says we've got to mark an 1.5 inch mark and an 1 1/8 mark, and then there should be a remaining 1 1/8 in between. The scribe does not have an 1 1/8 mark, at least this one does not, so I used the combination square and I set it right on. I started with an 1.5 inch, set it right on the mark, flipped my piece over on the edge of the table, and then with the scribe, or the scratch awl, I ran the mark and marked this edge of the piece. Then I flipped it over, and if you like, you could put the 1.5 inch on this side, and I did to demonstrate the 1 1/8, but you won't need it necessarily for this project if you put it in the break rate. But then I flipped it over and I set it to the 1 1/8, and I did the same thing and marked that last 1 1/8 portion of the duct there, or the S-cleat, sorry. So let's go ahead and turn the page and let's get to the fabrication processes here. What it says it wants us to do, this side's got the 1.5 inch mark on it, and this one's got the 1 1/8 as well as the 1.5 inch. But the first fold, it wants us to take the 1 1/8 and fold that over back on top of itself. So let's go ahead and do that one now. So let's walk over to our apron break, and we'll set it in there to our 1 1/8 side. Put it right on our mark. I know it's kind of hard to see, so you gotta maybe get the glare right off the light. That'll help you. And if you're not certain, you can always use your trusty tape measure and measure the 1 1/8 as well. So we're going to pull that all the way up until it stops, and we'll take that back out of the apron break here as well. Now it looks something like this, but the plan, it asks us to close that down and bring that in there flat. So let's go ahead and do that. And there's that rolled piece there. If you can see that edge, it will match that, and it should measure the 2 5/8 remaining on the bottom side, which it does, and then your 1 1/8 on the top side with the tape measure there for that first fold. Then it says take the second fold, and we're going to fold it back on itself on the 1 1/2 mark, or the remaining 1 1/8 left over. So let's finish that now. So we'll put it back in the apron break. Setting it right on our 1 1/2 or 1 1/8 mark, however you want to look at it. If I measure it from this end, it should be that 1 1/8 again on both sides. And again, we're going to pull that up until it stops all the way on the apron as well. Now we got something that looks similar to that. But that's not the final piece, so we've got to finish by closing this down all the way, and it's thin enough that I can basically do it by hand, but the brake will do a nicer job for you if you use the apron. So looking at the final part, you should have 1 1/8 between the top. If we measure that, that comes out to 1 1/8 right there. And then the bottom says it should have approximately a 3/8 inch lip sticking over the edge there. And if I get it on the inch, you're going to see that 3/8 of an inch is just right there on the edge. With that, this one turned out to be just a little under with that. So what is this actually used for? It's actually used to seam 2 pieces of duct together. So if I've got a piece of flat metal, I can slip it in this one, and I can slip it in the other one, and that'll make a nice smooth seam to carry the airflow. So if you look here, you've got the duct and a duct sitting inside of this S-clip on the pictorial of the 3-dimensional drawing here, on that one as well. It may be just habit, but I always try to put this duct inside of that one if the airflow is in that direction. If the airflow is in the other direction, then I would take my S-clip and I would turn it around so the duct is still inside of the secondary duct. It's nothing really too major. We're going to tape them anyhow, but it's something that I look at doing. And that will complete the project, but I do want to show you how this actually connects to the ductwork. So if the airflow is in that direction, I would try to get this duct that I'm attaching it to inside of it. So I'm looking to put that one on the outside. So we'll use the edge, and that'll slip right in line there, and then the next duct will push over that little edge that we got. It'll catch, and it'll slide in there really nice. Okay, and that'll complete your 1-inch S-cleat. Thanks a lot. We'll catch you on the next one.